My family shunned me and barred me from their celebrations, so I left them out of my big day. What happened next stunned them into silence. The rain-slicked streets of Seattle gleamed under the sodium glow of streetlights as I floored the gas pedal, my heart hammering like a war drum. My name is Claire Bennett, and at 28 I'd just uncovered a family secret that nearly cost me my life. The black SUV tailing me was no coincidence. Its headlights burned into my rearview mirror, a predator's eyes in the dark. I gripped the wheel of my beat-up Corolla, weaving through traffic, my breath catching as the SUV swerved closer, its engine roaring like a beast ready to strike. Whoever they were, they wanted me silenced, and I had a sinking feeling it was tied to the one place I'd spent years trying to escape. My family. I wasn't always this paranoid, dodging shadows and checking my locks twice. Growing up as the youngest of 5 in a wealthy Seattle dynasty, I was the forgotten footnote in the Bennett family saga. My siblings, Mark, Ethan, Lily, and Nathan, were practically a different generation, their lives unfolding in a world of Ivy League degrees, high society galas, and corporate boardrooms, while I was still mastering long division. Mark, the eldest, was the golden boy, a charismatic lawyer who could charm a jury or a cocktail party with equal ease. Ethan, the quiet scholar, buried himself in books and boardrooms, always too busy for me. Lily, the socialite, flitted through Seattle's elite like a butterfly, her Instagram a curated shrine to her perfection. Nathan, the closest to me in age, was a tech prodigy who treated me like a bug in his code, irritating and easily ignored. To them, I was the kid sister, an afterthought, who didn't belong in their polished lives. But I worshipped them, especially Mark. When I was 6, I'd trail him around our sprawling Queen Anne mansion, convinced he hung the moon. He'd ruffle my hair, call me kiddo, and then vanish into his world, leaving me to wonder why I was never enough. The first cut came at 12, sharp and deep, when Mark announced his wedding to Vanessa, a Napa Valley heiress with a smile as cold as her diamond ring. The invitation arrived in a cream envelope embossed with gold, but my name wasn't on it. Child-free, my mother Diane explained, her voice soft but firm, like she was breaking bad news to a stranger. It's not personal, Claire. It's just how they want their day. I was 12, not some toddler who'd smear cake on the tablecloths. I begged, tears streaming down my face, promising to sit still, to be invisible if that's what it took. But my parents left me with a nanny, the house echoing with silence as they drove off to Napa. I spent the day staring out my bedroom window, imagining Mark in his tux, Vanessa in her gown, and the family toasting without me. When Mark returned from his honeymoon, I waited for an apology, a story, anything. He just tossed me a postcard from Santorini and said, "You'll get it when you're older." I didn't get it. I just felt smaller. 2 years later, Ethan's wedding in Aspen carved another wound. I was 14, desperate to prove I wasn't a kid anymore. I wore my best dress to the family dinner where they announced the plans, hoping they'd see me as mature. But the word came down, child-free again. "It's for the vibe," Ethan said, not even looking at me. I swallowed my hurt, wrote a heartfelt letter begging to be included, and slipped it under his door. It came back unopened, with a post-it, "Sorry, Claire, rules are rules." My parents backed him up, their faces a mix of pity and impatience. I locked myself in my room, the rejection burning like acid. I wasn't just excluded, I was erased. By 16, Lily's Manhattan wedding was the talk of Seattle's elite. Her engagement party alone cost more than my college fund. I dared to hope this time would be different. She'd always been the fun sibling, the one who might bend the rules. But when the invitations went out, I was excluded again, this time because no one under 18 was allowed. "It's about elegance," Lily said when I confronted her, her voice dripping with condescension. "You wouldn't understand." I lost it. yelling that I wasn't some random kid. I was her sister. She rolled her eyes, and my parents grounded me for a year, calling my outburst disrespectful. A year. I spent it stewing in my room, my anger hardening into resolve. I wasn't family to them, not really. Nathan's wedding at 18 was the final straw. His beachfront ceremony in Hawaii was a 21 and up affair, a rule that felt like a knife twisted just for me. My cousin Sophie, barely 21, got an invite, her name scrawled in calligraphy while I was left behind. I didn't beg this time. I didn't cry. I just shut down, my heart calcifying with each exclusion. 4 weddings, 4 rejections. My siblings didn't see me as family. They saw me as a nuisance, a kid who didn't fit their perfect image. I stopped trying to win their love and started building a wall between us, brick by bitter brick. By my 20s, I'd carved out a life as a private investigator, chasing truths others wanted buried. It was a career born from necessity. I needed to understand why people hid things, why my family hid me. I was good at it, too, unraveling corporate fraud and catching cheaters with a doggedness that surprised even me. My latest case was a beast. A Seattle tech giant, Horizon Enterprises, was laundering money through shell companies, and I was closing in on the proof. But the deeper I dug, the more dangerous it got. Last week my phone rang with a distorted voice. "Drop the case, Claire, or you'll regret it." I laughed it off, chalking it up to the usual threats. Then came the black SUV. Tonight it was tailing me again, its headlights a constant menace in my mirror. I swerved onto a side street, my tires screeching as I pushed the Corolla to its limit. The SUV matched my every move, closing the gap. My pulse spiked as I fumbled for my phone, dialing Ryan, my fiancé. "Claire, where are you?" His voice crackled, urgent. "I'm being followed," I gasped, glancing back. "Black SUV, no plates. I'm on Rainier Avenue, to the precinct," he said. "I'm coming to you." I hung up, my hands shaking as I took a sharp turn, narrowly avoiding a truck. The SUV rammed my bumper, jolting me forward. My car fishtailed, grazing a parked van before I regained control. This wasn't just a warning. They wanted me dead. I met Ryan 2 years ago at a dive bar, bonding over bad whiskey and worse family stories. He was a journalist, all sharp wit and stubborn ideals, covering corruption for the Seattle Times. When I told him about my siblings' weddings, 4 ceremonies, 4 exclusions, he was floored. "They banned you? Their own sister?" he said, his hazel eyes wide with disbelief. "That's not just cold, Claire. That's cruel." His words cracked something open in me, a wound I'd buried under years of denial. I'd convinced myself their child-free rules were reasonable, that I was the problem for feeling hurt. Ryan saw through it, calling it what it was, deliberate rejection. He was the first person who made the feel seen, and when he proposed last summer under a canopy of stars on Puget Sound, I knew my wedding would be different. It would be for us, for the people who chose me, not the family who discarded me. That's why I didn't invite my siblings to our wedding. It wasn't revenge, though I'd be lying if I said it didn't feel good. It was about building a day that felt true, surrounded by friends who'd become my real family. Ryan and I planned a small ceremony in a Portland rose garden, intimate and warm, with 2 months ago, my mother, Diane, called, her voice syrupy with fake cheer. "Claire, how's the wedding planning? Your siblings haven't gotten their invitations yet." My stomach nodded. I'd hoped to avoid this conversation until closer to the date. "I didn't send them," I said, my voice steady. Silence stretched across the line, then an explosion. "What? You're excluding your own family? What's wrong with you?" I clenched my jaw. "They didn't invite me to their weddings, Mom, not one. So I'm returning the favor," she gasped, as if I'd slapped her. That was different. You were a child. It didn't feel different, I shot back. It felt like I didn't matter. She didn't let up. If you don't invite them, Claire, you're out of the will. You'll get nothing. The threat landed like a punch, but I held my ground. I don't want your money, Mom. I want respect. I hung up, my hands trembling. That night, the family group chat erupted. Lily, ever the drama queen, typed, "Claire, what's this about no invites? Did we do something?" Ethan was blunter. "This is low, even for you." Mark, the self-purported patriarch, chimed in. "You're tearing this family apart." I stared at the messages, each one a dagger, until Ryan took my phone. "Don't engage," he said. "They don't deserve you." I left the chat, my heart pounding but my resolve firm. I wasn't the scared kid begging for a seat at their table anymore. But the threats from my case were escalating, and I couldn't shake the feeling they were connected to my family. Horizon Enterprises had ties to my father's investment firm, a fact I'd uncovered last month. Was it a coincidence that the SUV appeared after I started digging into their financials? Last night, my office was trashed, files on Horizon stolen, my laptop smashed. A note was pinned to my desk. "Stop digging or you're next." I reported it to the police, but they had no leads. Now, as I sped through Seattle's rain-soaked streets, the SUV still on my tail, I realized this was bigger than I'd thought. I took another sharp turn, my tires skidding, and spotted a police precinct up ahead. I floored it, pulling into the lot as the SUV peeled away, vanishing into the night. I sat there gripping the wheel, my breath ragged. Who was after me? And why was my family's name tangled in this mess? The next morning, I woke to a barrage of texts from my siblings, their tone shifting from anger to manipulation. Lily sent a photo of us as kids, captioned, "Remember when we were family?" Ethan wrote, "You're making Mom cry, Claire. Fix this." Mark's email was a masterclass in sanctimony, quoting some Bible verse about forgiveness while ignoring his own sins. I deleted them all, but the weight of their words lingered. Then my father called, his voice cold as steel. "You're playing a dangerous game, Claire. You think you can drag our name through the mud with your little investigation? I'll sue you for defamation if you don't stop." My blood ran cold. Defamation? Did he know about Horizon? Or was this just another tactic to control me? I met Ryan at our favorite coffee shop, a cozy spot in Capitol Hill where the baristas knew our orders by heart. Over steaming lattes, I told him about the SUV, the break-in, and my father's threat. His jaw tightened. "Claire, this isn't just family drama. If your dad's firm is linked to Horizon, they could be dangerous. You need to be careful." I nodded, but my mind was racing. What if my siblings were involved too? Mark's law firm represented tech giants. Ethan sat on corporate boards. Lily's husband had shady investment ties. Was their exclusion of me just personal, or was it to keep me out of their world? That night, as I pored over my case files, my phone buzzed with an anonymous text. "Your wedding's on our radar. Back off or it's over." My heart stopped. My wedding details were private, shared only with our guest list. How did they know? I called Ryan, who rushed over, his face pale as he read the message. "We need security at the wedding," he said, "and you need to tell the police everything." I agreed, but a chill ran through me. My family's rejection had always hurt, but now it felt like a prelude to something darker. Were they just cruel, or were they hiding something worth killing for? As the wedding approached, the pressure mounted. My Aunt Margaret, a meddling busybody, cornered me at a grocery store, her voice dripping with fake concern. "Claire, honey, your siblings are devastated. Why are you doing this to them?" I stared at her, incredulous. "They excluded me from their lives, Margaret. Why should they get a front row seat to mine?" She gasped, clutching her pearls. "You'll regret this when you're alone." I walked away, but her words echoed my mother's threat. Disinheritance, isolation, regret. I was risking everything, my family, my safety, my future, for a principal. Was it worth it? The day before the wedding, I found a package at my doorstep. No return address, just a small box with a USB drive inside. I plugged it into my laptop, my hands shaking. It was a video, grainy footage of me leaving my office, my car, my apartment. A voiceover hissed, "We're watching. Drop the case, or your wedding day will be your last." I froze, my breath catching. This wasn't just a threat, it was a promise. I called the police, but they could only offer patrols, no answers. Ryan held me as I trembled, his voice steady. "We're not backing down, Claire. This is our day, our life." I nodded, but fear gnawed at me. What had I stumbled into, and how far would they go to stop me? The rain hadn't stopped pounding Seattle streets since that black SUV nearly ran me off the road, and the dread in my gut was a constant companion. My name is Claire Bennett, and at 28, I was unraveling a family secret that threatened to destroy everything. My wedding, my career, my life. The cryptic note from the stranger who crashed our rehearsal dinner, "Family secrets will bury you," burned in my mind as I sat in my Pioneer Square office, sifting through what was left of my Horizon Enterprises files. My family's name was tangled in a web of corporate fraud, and someone was willing to kill to keep it hidden. Every creak of my office's old floorboards sent my heart racing, every shadow a potential threat. Ryan, my fiancé, was my anchor. Over coffee that morning, his hazel eyes held a mix of resolve and worry. "We're tougher than they are, Claire," he said, pouring my favorite chipped mug full. As a journalist for the Seattle Times, he knew corruption, but this was different. "You think it's my family, don't you?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. He stirred his coffee, the spoon clinking. "They've got money, power, and secrets. That note wasn't random." I nodded, my throat tight. The Bennetts were a Seattle dynasty, their wealth built on a foundation I was starting to suspect was rotten. I'd spent my life begging for their acceptance. Now I was tearing it apart, and they were fighting back. That afternoon, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "You're digging your own grave. Stop now." My pulse spiked. I snapped a photo and sent it to Ryan, then called Detective Alvarez at the Seattle PD. "Another threat," I said, trying to sound steady. "Can you trace it?" He sighed. "Burner phone, probably. Watch your back, Claire." I was already paranoid, scanning every car as I drove home through the rain-soaked city. Then my Corolla's dashboard lit up, brakes failing, engines stuttering. Panic clawed at my chest as I veered into a gas station lot, barely stopping before hitting a pump. "My brakes are shot," I told Ryan over the phone, my voice shaking. "Someone's trying to kill me." He was there in minutes, his truck screeching to a halt. He pulled me into his arms, his jaw tight. "We're hiring security. You're not going anywhere alone." My mechanic, Tony, confirmed it the next day. A clean, professional cut to my brake line. "You're lucky you didn't crash," he said. I filed a police report, but Alvarez had no leads. "They're covering their tracks," he warned. My family had the means. Mark's law firm worked with shady clients. Ethan's tech connections ran deep. Were they capable of this? My mother, Diana, showed up at my apartment unannounced, her designer coat dripping. "Claire, stop this," she said, her voice trembling with practiced emotion. "You're tearing us apart." I laughed, bitter and sharp. "You banned me from 4 weddings, Mom. 4. You don't get to play victim." Her eyes narrowed, a flicker of something, fear, crossing her face. "Drop this investigation, or you'll regret it." I stepped closer. "What do you know about Horizon?" She flinched, then recovered. "Nothing, just stop being so stubborn." She left, but her reaction screamed guilt. That night, Ryan and I found a leaked email tying Bennett Capital to Horizon's offshore accounts. "They're in deep," I said, my voice low. Then another anonymous email hit. "Your wedding's a target. Back off or everyone pays." Attached was a photo of us at the Portland Rose Garden venue taken yesterday. They were watching. I met my best friend Sarah, my maid of honor, at a Capitol Hill cafe. "Claire, this is insane," she said, her brown eyes wide as I told her about the break line and the email. "Go to the feds." I hesitated. The FBI could take over, but they'd move slow, and I didn't trust anyone to protect us better than I could. "I'm close, Sarah. If I stop, they win." She grabbed my hand. "You're not just fighting for you. Ryan's at risk too." Her words hit hard. I promised to be careful, but fear gnawed at me. The next night, my office alarm tripped at 3 a.m. Nothing was stolen, but a dossier was left on my desk. Redacted transactions linking my family to a viper. A hitman? I sent it to Ryan's friend at the Times, hoping they could crack it. Mark was spreading rumors, calling me an unhinged investigator. Lily posted on Instagram, "Some people burn bridges they'll need later." Ethan called, his voice icy. "You're dragging our name through the mud. Drop it or I'll ruin you." My father upped the ante with a cease and desist letter, threatening a defamation lawsuit that would bankrupt me. "They're scared," Ryan said, reading it over my shoulder. "You're too close." The wedding was a week away, and the pressure was suffocating. I hired ex-cop security, but at the rehearsal dinner a fire broke out in the gazebo. Arson, the fire department confirmed. Gasoline fumes lingered, a deliberate act. I clutched Ryan's hand as we watched the flames die, my heart pounding. "They're not stopping," I whispered. He squeezed my hand. "Neither are we." But the threats escalated. An anonymous email leaked our guest list and seating chart with a warning, "We'll be there." I showed it to Alvarez, who increased patrols but had no suspects. My family's campaign intensified, too. Aunt Margaret cornered me in a grocery store, her voice dripping with condescension. "Claire, your siblings are devastated. Be the bigger person." I stared her down. "They excluded me my whole life. Why should they get my day?" She gasped. But I walked away, her words echoing my mother's: disinheritance, isolation, regret. The morning of the wedding, I woke with a mix of nerves and defiance. Ryan, ever my rock, smiled as we got ready separately. "This is our day, Claire. No one's taking it." I nodded, but my stomach churned, expecting interference. The Portland Rose Garden was a vision. Wildflowers, twinkle lights, a small crowd of friends who'd become my true family. As I adjusted my dress, Sarah walked in, her grin infectious. "You're stunning, Claire." I smiled, but my voice cracked. "I'm scared, Sarah. Not just about today, but everything." She hugged me. "You're not that kid anymore. You're enough." Her words steadied me. But as the ceremony began, a stranger slipped into the crowd, his face half hidden by a baseball cap. I caught his eye, and he smirked, mouthing, "You can't outrun the truth." My heart stopped. I signaled security, who chased him, but he vanished, leaving a note. "The Bennetts own you." I pushed through the ceremony, Ryan's vows. "I'll stand by you through any storm," anchoring me. The reception was pure joy, friends toasting our love, dancing under the stars. But my cousin Ellie pulled me aside, her voice low. "Your siblings threw a family unity dinner tonight. They're telling everyone you're unstable." I laughed, the sound sharp. "Let them have their pity party. I'm done." The night ended with Ryan and me swaying to our last dance, his arms a shield against the world. "We did it," I whispered. He kissed my forehead. "Just the beginning, Claire." Post-wedding, the attacks didn't stop. Lily sent a snide text. "Nice budget garden party. Hope it was worth losing your family." I blocked her, refusing to let her bitterness taint my happiness. My mother showed up at our apartment, her face a mask of tears. "You've destroyed our legacy, Claire." I stood tall. "Family doesn't exclude and manipulate. You did that, not me." I shut the door, her sobs echoing behind, but the real blow came days later. A USB drive arrived, showing footage of me everywhere. My office, my car, my home. A voice hissed, "Drop it, or your marriage ends in blood." I went to the feds, handing over every file. Ryan and I worked with his Times contact, piecing together a bombshell expose on Horizon's fraud, implicating Bennett Capital. The weeks that followed were a whirlwind. The FBI raided Horizon's offices, arresting executives, and Viper, a hired fixer with no direct link to my family yet. The expose hit the front page, rocking Seattle's elite. My father's firm collapsed under scrutiny. Mark's law practice took a hit. Ethan's board seat vanished. Lily's husband faced audits, and Nathan's startup lost investors. They called, begging for forgiveness, but I didn't answer. I'd spent my life chasing their approval. Now I was free. Ryan and I moved to a new apartment, a fresh start. One night, over pizza and a cheesy rom-com, he asked, "Any regrets?" I shook my head. I thought I'd miss them, but I don't. I've got you, Sarah, our friends. That's enough, he grinned, pulling me close. More than enough. The threats stopped, the shadows lifted. I wasn't the forgotten sister anymore. I was Claire Bennett, the woman who'd faced her family's lies and built a life of her own. But questions lingered. What else were they hiding? Was Viper the end, or just the beginning? Could I ever trust again? Would my family try to rebuild or fade into silence? And most importantly, what future would Ryan and I create, free from their shadow?